Hello, I'm Erin, and I just wanted to share a little bit of peace with you coming to you from the Whidbey Institute land, which feels almost beyond time, in my opinion. I am very fortunate to live nearby and have for the past 20 years. It is open to the public at certain times, and the land is also 100 acres that are free of dogs. So you can imagine, for someone who is extremely dog allergic, that is one benefit to me. But it's just such a peaceful space that I want to share a bit, just like a minute of just being here, and let you absorb it. And then I will share. I just also want to mention that this is the Grid Gambit cowl that I just finished in browns and greens, and I kind of blend into the environment here. And I intend to make more of these Grid Gambit cowls because now that I have the pattern memorized. Anyway, I will just be quiet and let you absorb the surroundings. Hello, Erin from Waterwoman Knits. I just had a very restorative time in the Whidbey Institute and filmed a little clip and took some great images of the woods there. It's a place that I have gone to that has felt very healing over the 20 years that I have lived on this island. And I thought I just wanted to share a bit of that with you. I hadn't been there in about 6 months, but I ended up deciding that I would try on my day off to walk. There's this gorgeous labyrinth there in the middle of the woods, and it's open to the public most days, some of the time. And you can go and just walk it. I have used it as kind of a healing place for me. When I was recovering from 37 radiation treatments, I went once a week during that time, even though I could barely walk some days, but it just had that restorative effect to walk the labyrinth. And I know anyone out there who's walked labyrinths and enjoys them understands what I'm talking about. But it's kind of a mental reset, physical mental reset. And often what I do when I enter a labyrinth is start with a question in my mind, and then by the time I've walked the entire thing, I end up just some answer comes through. it's a little bit of magic, honestly. I don't know how that works, but there's some thought that the placing the body, these labyrinths, you end up walking in such a way that it's almost like unwinding your mental processes. I don't know. I've read that somewhere, so perhaps that's true. And then suddenly there's clarity by the time you've walked all the way to the center and then all the way back out, spiraled back out. And so what I did was I took a piece of knitting and with me that is very much the colors of the environment. It's the Mossblossom, I think is the name of the pattern. Here it is in process. I've shown it to you before, but this is more progress. And the entire thing has 12 repeats of this motif. So I'm choosing to do this in 2 colors, but you could easily do it in 1 solid color, and that's how the designer has the designer photos are all of 1 color. And it's just a lace panel and then a stockinette with these little baubles panel. And now that I have the pattern memorized, I just could walk while I'm doing it. And that was really fascinating experiment because I've never done that before. It was like knitting is already a mindful practice. And then on top of that, to be taking very mindful steps through this sort of maze. It was not only the slowest I've ever walked, I think, but it made me realize this is what they mean by what Buddhist monks mean by mindful walking. When it completely slowed me down because I was so focused on stitch by stitch and step by step, and I experienced all sorts, because my visual focus was so on the knitting, but I'm in this larger environment, moving my physical being. It was kind of fascinating. I had sort of, like there were points where I when I looked up and I could almost not tell where I was, like an out of body kind of thing, just because of the proprioception, I guess. Anyway, so what came to me in the process of doing this was the question, how can we bring more healing into this world? I just feel like so much of the discourse that is out, that I'm absorbing and that I know others are absorbing, both politically, economically, socially, is really kind of like a masterclass in cruelty, in a sense. Our economic system feels that way at this moment, and has for many people for a long time. Our political system can feel that way to a lot of people. So the overarching question that came to me in doing this walk was just if I try to tune my focus to how to bring more healing into this world. And it kind of recentered me in this purpose that I would like to use my knitting both as a way to bring healing to others, as well as creating my own wardrobe, sort of, because I am challenged to buy fine clothes and that kind of thing, economically. So I do get almost all my clothes, including this lovely thing, are hand-me-downs from my sister, who has great taste and very generously gifts me her clothing. So other than that and a few items from Target, I would love to build slowly a wardrobe. Um, with my next, okay, so anyway, going back to the idea that those are my two main purposes with my knitting. I've decided that I want to recommit and refocus on. I learned that there's um, a local group that is sending knits to a regional hospital system for lap blankets, for example, for people who are in cancer infusion centers, just so that they can have a lap blanket, like have a stack of them to choose from, and then they can feel comforted while going through chemo, which if for anyone out there who's been there, anything that can help during that time is welcome. And so that's one area I would like to focus on, as well as knitting for, there's a wonderful project that I'll put a link to it because I don't want to misrepresent it. I need to go back and make sure I've got the name correct for it. Anyway, there are many out there, many different groups out there that are using knitting in a way to bring healing into the world. And so I would like to do that. And I think in a lot of these organization type thing, donations, they often require acrylic yarn because many people have different wool or fiber allergies or reaction to it. And so I'm on a search. I found a really good place in Denmark that sells the softest acrylic I have come across, and they sell them in these mega balls of yarn, and so for very low cost. And so I think that's what I'm going to do, is as long as I can find an acrylic that I like to work with that feels more comfortable than the ones that I have experienced around, in my area, working with. So I'll be searching for that, and also using different scraps for those who, since I have a large stash of yarn, I'll be going through and just using the ones that feel softest to me, and then putting a disclaimer on there that they are wool. They're spun wool. So that's one thing. And then I have two finished projects. I have, this is my Grid Gambit cowl. And the way I did mine, it's very monotone for the bulk of it. I used, I think this color, this striping, gradually striping contrast to the brown is, it's a spin cycle, and I believe it's the Wololo color. I think that's what it's called, but it's really lovely. It's got all these different browns and rust in it. And then I just happened to have, I tried to find little scraps of yarn that I had that kind of mirrored the colors that are in the Wololo. And I'm pretty happy with it, but I definitely would like to make some more using other color scraps. And just now that I've got this pattern memorized, I'll just be cranking out a bunch of these like I did with the Andrea Mowry's night shift cowl. And this is perfect for right now. We're having a cool May so far. It's not yet summery. for the most part, most days. It's still pretty rainy and cool enough to wear a cowl. Now I have this like loose end poking out. Why does this always happen when you want to show something? Then suddenly a rogue loose end pokes out. Okay, I finished my Lunae shawl by Natasja Hornby. And this is just such a brilliant construction piece. And the design, ignore the hanging unwoven end there. This has such sort of Mediterranean vibes. I read on her website, she has a bio, and she said that she at one point taught all in many different places in the world, and so a lot of these, one of her designs that is sort of related, I think it's called the Yara shawl, and I would love to make that next. It has a similar construction in that you work this whole panel one direction and then pick up below it in the other direction, pick up and knit down from it. But the Yara is a crescent shape, whereas this is more triangular, or at least the way I blocked it. It is. And the only addition that I made was a to the pattern is a what is this called? Oh my gosh, my brain. The I-cord edging, which I just, because this yarn that I happen to choose to use is so much thinner than these yarns, it just curls in on itself, and it was really wonky in connection with the other fiber. And so this kind of pulls it together and evens it out. And you can always put an I-cord edging on any garment, and there are tutorials out there that I can link a good one that I've used many times. This was a bit wonky to the shaping of this. I somehow ended up with like an extra inch of fabric here, and I do not understand how on the white portion. And I ended up just sewing it in a tube, kind of like sewing it and pinning it, like sewing it down so it's not visible from the outside, and it's not really that noticeable. But I just think that it's challenging enough where it was just such a fun project to work through, and very meditative. And I love this textured stitch. And I think the theme of this for me, I realized after I made it that the yarns that I had pulled from my stash, I remember this sort of off-white with a bit of pink to it was called Angel Whisper. And then this tone, the sort of variegated rust maroon, I don't know, it has different tones in it, but I believe that is the Archangel color by it's either Malabrigo, I'll look it up, but it's one of the two big M companies. I always get them confused. Anyway, that they have this Archangel color, which I know is available in many different yarn weights, and this is the fingering weight version. So it's just a lovely motif, and I'm definitely going to make the Yara next. I may end up donating these also with a disclaimer about the wool, as sort of like prayer shawls. I don't know. I'm hesitant to call them prayer. Let's say comfort shawls, because I don't. Nobody needs to necessarily believe in prayer to benefit from a comfort shawl in times of crisis. But I may keep this one. It's just lovely. I had this on my desk and I'd forgotten that. Where's the other one? Oh, it fell down. Okay, I've had these sitting here for a long time and I just thought I would share them. These are the Harriet Tubman hand warmers. It's a really lovely cabled pattern. And it was made in a wool in 2020 after George Floyd, and there was all the activism around that. There was a woman who was hand dyeing the colors of the suffragette movement, the purple, gold, and white, and then was highlighting African American women who were sort of either shut out or just calling attention to the fact that they weren't part of the original suffragette, that black women were not. Anyway, I love these, and actually after I had made them originally, I didn't notice. I use my Ravelry account so rarely. I check it so rarely that it turned out that the woman who designed this had emailed me and asked whether she could use the photo of my hand warmers in her social media, and I would have been very honored if I had seen it in a timely way. But anyway, they're just really nice, and when I'm typing on cold days, they're just really handy to just have they don't cover your fingers in any way, but just kind of warm your wrists. And then my latest project that I'm working on is called the Lanikai. Let me get the pattern. Lanikai Summer Tea by Sallyknit. I think she goes by Sallyknit. I mean, that's the name of her company. I don't know if her name is Sally, but yeah, Lanikai Summer Tea. And I saw a woman wearing this, and it's just such a lovely lightweight. And I had 3 skeins of this gorgeous on sale that I'd gotten several years ago. That is the Pearl Soho linen quill. And so it's a mix of wool, linen, and alpaca. And it's just a very lightweight, drapey, but warm fabric that it makes. And it's going to be hard to show until I get further along. But the gist of it is that it's a top down from the collar with 3 ridges. I'm choosing to make it in these blues, but I mean, you could easily make it in a single color. You can make it in cotton for summer. You could make it, I'm just using the fiber that I have. And this blue is just mind-boggling to me. It's like I want to just dive into it. And then I'm just at the point where I'm going to be separating for sleeves soon. But the thing I love about this is that it has German short rows in the back of the neck, And then it also has, it includes raglan increases. So in that way, it makes it very oversized intentionally. And when you're a larger frame or larger body, anything that can just be oversized in general, I feel like I'm more comfortable wearing things like that are for summer. So anyway, that's going to be exciting to get that further along. So I had made plans to try to finish up 2 sweaters, the sleeves, and not cast on anything new. But that's my big thing, is I'm not going to beat myself up about it. I just am doing what I love. And now that I've kind of refocused my knitting mojo on a sense of purpose, I'm going to be finishing those up while I do new things that are going to be donation projects. So yeah, I'm not going to beat myself up about the fact that I have 2 one-sleeve sweaters that have been sitting there for 2 years. But I'll just keep working on them little bit by little bit. And the main issue with it, besides the fact that I don't care for just making endless tubes for sleeves, is that the needle size makes a huge difference. So when you're dealing with, like a size 2 or 1 needle to make an entire sweater of very, very close to lace weight, fingering weight yarn, that's what I'm talking about. It's just like you work for several hours and you look down and you've maybe made an inch of fabric. So those are the ones that I have waiting for me to continue working. Anyway, so I'm going to be looking, keep going through my stash and trying to organize it more and trying to just be in touch with it, be aware of all the yarns that I do have so that I can sort of plan it out more, this lap blanket making idea project. And then I will intersperse them with the new projects that I'm working on for garments. And yeah, I guess that's it for today. And I will be back with another episode. Sorry, I'm just suddenly getting low energy. But I hope you enjoy my images and little videos from the woods at the Whitby Institute. When I mentioned in there I spoke in very low volume inside the woods because it just feels like such a quiet place. So I apologize if you can hear me, but I was saying that the space feels like it's beyond time whenever I'm there, and meaning that there's something I know I'm not the only one. There are many people who enter that space and just feel like there's almost a presence or an energetic to the land that is just automatically kind of puts you in a meditative state, or I don't know. It's one of those things you have to experience to understand what I'm talking about or to believe. But I hope you just get a glimpse of it from my photos and little video clips. So thanks for coming along with me, and I'll see you next time.